Now, R. Kelly, we don't have any cameras in the courtroom, but we do have sketches of R. Kelly inside that courtroom. There he is, wearing a mask. He's got glasses on. I wonder, are those reading glasses? I don't know if he can read or not. Huh. What is he looking at in that picture? I can't tell. All right. Well, let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae joining us live from Brooklyn tonight. So everyone had the day off today, but prosecutors getting close to wrapping up their case. How are they doing that?
That's what we've been hearing, that they are expected to rest their case this week. They ended their case on Wednesday, yesterday, with the case agent, so leaving these jurors with the investigative look at this case. And we don't know who they are going to call tomorrow, but it may be the last thing that jurors have going into the weekend before the defense starts this case. And we know these jurors have had a lot more to look at and listen to than they've had previously in this case. There's a look at one of the exhibits that was shown this week. That is the surveillance that was being done by Homeland Security of this Grammy Award-winning singer. He's in that picture along with his brother, George Kelly, and they were watching him. This is at a Residence Inn, a hotel in the northern part of Chicago. They also heard and watched some visual recordings and audio recordings that were presented to them by the prosecution, something the prosecution really wanted them to see because they said it actually showed a verbal and physical assault of the defendant with young women. We did not get to see that as far as the media and the public, but we have an idea of what it contained because of how the prosecution described it in their motions. And here's what they said the jury needed to see from it and what they believe is the takeaway. Take a look. The government's exhibit 484, that's one of those recordings, should be admitted to show one of the techniques that the defendant used to control females. Specifically, his installation of a camera overhead allowed him to track the activities of females in that room and then accuse one of lying to him. And also at trial, there are witnesses who have testified that they believe the defendant recorded their activities even when they were not present. Finally, the fact that the defendant made and then kept these recordings in a storage facility for a period of years is probative in the lengths at which the defendant would go to maintain control over the females in his life. Again, that relates to the recordings that the case agent was able to find after a search warrant on the properties of Kelly.
All right. This is some fascinating information and evidence. Let me bring back in the tank. Molly Parmer, how concerned should the defense be here? Now, we know what happened the first time he was at trial, and there were videos of the actual crime. He was found not guilty. The allegations here are similar, but I think a little bit larger. Running a criminal enterprise, being the person in charge of all this, controlling these women and abusing them.
Right. I think what we have to remember is that this is federal court, and federal court is very different than state court. And specifically the way they've charged this case, if you look at the second superseding indictment, they've charged this as, exactly as you said, criminal enterprise, racketeering, 18 U.S.C. 1961. And so the government doesn't just prove that he abused these girls, that he had sex with these girls, that they were underage. They have to prove that he was the leader of this enterprise and that through this enterprise, he was doing these other criminal acts as though he was like the mafia or something. And that's actually very difficult to prove. So I think the defense at this point does have the option of arguing to the jury that the prosecution has not proven their case under the Racketeering Act, 18 U.S.C. 1961.
Renee, they're not going to like this guy.
Well, the jury, there are a lot of allegations here that they certainly would not like, but they are going
they also saw some videos and some recordings as well. They're not going to like that either.
Yeah, they're certainly not going to like it. And we have a lot of clients that are not liked. It doesn't mean that their guilt is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's what the jury has to look at. They have to separate that. We're not always going to like the person that is on trial.
You know, Carmen, Robert Kelly and Robert Durst have more than just a first name in common. They were both successful at their first trials. And they're both of their second trials kind of wrapping up at the same time. I just think that R. Kelly is going to have a more difficult time than Robert Durst. I think they're both going to get convicted, but I think he's going down quicker.
Vinny, I totally agree. And it's because of what Molly said. I mean, look, these are the feds. And so they're going to take him down. And if you don't hate him, I would question what's going on with you, because everything we've heard in this trial is just, it's obnoxious on a level. It's clear that he's a sexual deviant. It's clear that he's been conspicuous about the abuse that he's done to these women and younger boys for years. The only question I have is how and why could this be going on for so long? And we're just now getting a hold of this gentleman. So, yeah, I think he's going down, and I think his deliberation period will be much shorter than Robert Durst.
All right, Julie Janae, what's coming up tomorrow in Brooklyn?
Tomorrow, the government continues with their witnesses. They've called 43 so far, so they may have a handful if they are going to rest. And then this case will pass to the defense. We don't know how long their case will be, but according to the estimation that the judge gave this jury on how long this trial would go, we could be in a verdict watch as early as the end of next week.
All right, Julie Janae in Brooklyn, thanks so much. When we come